Hi, this is Reverend Ken Wilcox with the Center for Spiritual Living, St. Augustine. Normally when I arrive at the building to give one of my talks, it's alive with people setting up for the service, choir practicing, people organizing the hospitality, and practitioners getting ready to do their treatment work. Today, not so much. We're all being asked to step up to life as this challenge confronts us. And we're doing our part. We're grateful that you're doing yours and supporting us through this challenge. Your support is vital. You can text a donation to us and mail a donation to us. Information is posted below on how to do either of those. You know, when you show up here on Sunday, I always ask you to do one simple thing, and that is to leave all your troubles, your would-haves, your could-haves, your should-haves, to leave all that stuff outside, and for the next 45 minutes or so, to open up an avenue of spirit possibilities. And what are spirit possibilities? Well, they're for more love, more healings, more blessings, more courage, and more compassion. All those things that make us feel alive. For this is what Spirit is doing through you and through me, showing up in the physical, recognizing itself through our love, our joy, and our laughter. So know you're in a good place today. Your time with us will be well spent, and you will leave this video feeling healed and blessed and prospered in some significant way. God bless. Welcome home. So let's start our service with a meditation and reading. And today my reading comes from the Creative Thought magazine, and it was by Nancy Fisher from Eugene, Oregon. And she wrote, "Right here, right now, I proclaim a new idea about what is possible for me. I express a new idea about how I choose to experience my life. I lift my vision and see above any seemingly obstacles. I decide that I deserve to have the best that delights my spirit and uplifts my heart. This life is my life, and I have the opportunity to choose how I experience it. I invite and I allow Spirit within to guide me, and I listen to that intuitive knowing. There is something in me that knows exactly what to do and how to do it in order for me to have everything I require to live the life of my dreams." So now, let us turn to affirmative prayer, and as we input our best ideas about ourselves and life into universal mind, and then let us go into silence so we can open our hearts and souls to that sweet whisperings of Spirit, of how we can step forward and how we can expand our lives in greater and more dynamic way. So I'm going to do this prayer in the first person. Take it in for yourself. If I say something that works for you, hold tightly to it. If I say something that doesn't work for you, just let it slide by. But just know this truth with me today. There is but one God, one mind, one power. That power is perfect love. It's divine intelligence. That power created me from itself, plus nothing else. So here today, there is a part of me that is that divine intelligence. And that part of me is seeking to live intelligently. So I now know that regardless of the obstacles I see before me, that there is a way for me to live in joy, in love, in health, and prosperity. There's a way for me to see my life expanding and blooming joyfully, just like the spring flowers I see blooming. Spirit has called me by name from stardust so I can walk the soil of this earth, to see Spirit flowing through me, to know God is my joyful partner, helping me expand my life, bringing love and encouragement and support to those around me, and lifting my eyes to a better knowing. I now put these ideas alive with the Spirit of God into the mind of universal mind, and I open my heart and soul to listen to that sweet voice of Spirit. As I move forward today, these ideas, these words, these thoughts, these emotions empower me. Empower me to be the best I can be, to be what Spirit had in mind when it called me forth. This is my truth. I celebrate it. I rejoice in this right knowing, and I release this prayer into the mind of God to do its good and perfect work, returning to me multiplied abundantly. And together we say, and so it is. With all the trouble we see in our world right now, it's good to see what a little bit of kindness and compassion can do to change our world.
He was consoling him, and he grabbed his hand and walked him to the front door, and we waited until the bell rang, and he walked him inside the school, and the rest was history. They have an inseparable bond.
I fear every day that someone's going to laugh at him because he doesn't speak correctly, or laugh at him because he doesn't sit still, or because he, jumps up and down and flaps his hands.
I was in fourth day at school and I started crying. Then he held me and I was happy.
It doesn't matter, color, it doesn't matter gender, it doesn't matter disability, it doesn't matter anything. Just be kind, open your heart, and that's what we need in this world.
One act of kindness, can change someone's life.
Can change the world. That's all it takes.
My talk today is entitled Rise Up. I began writing this talk on Monday when I had gotten some bad news in from the Surgeon General. I'm sure many of you heard the same news, that this week was going to be one of the worst weeks for our nation since World War II. And as I thought about my talk, I began to wonder, what could I say? What words could I speak that would encourage and inspire? Because in the coming days and coming weeks, if not months, we're going to need encouragement and inspiration. We're going to need support and a relationship with Spirit, because we can't move through this challenge on our own. We're going to need divine intervention. We're going to have to step up and to rise up to the greater part of ourselves, our Spirit-filled selves, our God-filled selves. We're going to have to be stronger than we have envisioned we can be, and we're going to have to be more compassionate and more brave than we thought possible for ourselves. We are going to have to be the people God envisioned us to be when it spoke us into life. And to do this, we're going to have to leave behind our fears and doubts. We're going to have to hold a greater vision for ourselves and for each other and the world. We're not going to be able to go back to the way things were. It's a brand new world, and we're going to have to hold fast to a vision of that world, one where we understand the importance of connection between one another, where we value the importance of having people in our lives, where we know that the lives of our neighbors are more important than the value of our stock portfolio. Late last night, as I was writing my talk, it was after midnight, and I saw the flashing lights of an ambulance pulling into our neighborhood. And I wondered which of our neighbors the ambulance was going for. And I thought, how dear is that person's breath to me here now in this place of crisis? This is the reality we're operating under, and we need to look to Spirit to give us hope and inspiration. This week also is the Jewish celebration of Passover. At the first Seder service I attended, the rabbi emphasized that this was a service and celebration of freedom, of liberation, not just for the Jewish people, but for all oppressed peoples. It speaks of the liberation of humanity, of all God's children. We have not come from the Most High to live lives of dread and fear. And too many of us have given our lives over to dread and fear. But it's not what God called us to be. It's not what God envisioned for us. And it's not the life God prayed for us to have. The Passover recalls the final plague God sent to Egypt so that it could convince Pharaoh to turn the Israelites free. And it was the plague of the angel of death. The angel was sent out on the land of Egypt and killed the firstborn of each family. The Jews protected their families by painting the blood of a lamb over the threshold of their door. Now, what were they doing? They were lifting their thinking and consciousness to a higher level. Now, it seems if an angel of death has been turned loose on our nation and the world. And what can we do to protect ourselves from this time of tribulation? We need to paint a marker high in our consciousness of God's love, God's support. We also need to raise our consciousness to what it is that we want to live, how we want the world to evolve, and what is the greater life we want to experience. Now, we have some practical tools and some spiritual tools. If we will infuse the one with the other, they will both be more potent. So, of course, we're doing our social distancing, washing our hands, and now we've been encouraged to wear a mask anytime we go out. Does it feel kind of foolish to go out in the grocery store with a mask? A little bit. But I would rather appear foolish than to see an ambulance coming in the midnight to take one of my neighbors away. Now, as we go through this challenge, we not only have an obligation to be practical and cheerful and not to give into morbidity, particularly of those who are grounded in spiritual beliefs. We're called to raise a lamp of courage and conviction, now more than ever. We also have to be certain the young people around us see us as resolute and confident. In their young lives, they haven't been through such a challenge, and they will be looking for us for signals that we know a better day is coming. This past week, I enjoyed and valued very much the video that the Queen of England sent out to her people. In that video, she reminded them that their nation had been through challenges before. She also encouraged them to know that to act and behave in a way so that in their future lives, they could look back with pride on their behavior. She ended her address with a note of faith and confidence, and she said, "We will meet again." Yes, we will meet again. We will overcome this challenge, and we will be the better for it. So let us act in a way that in years hence, we will take pride on our behavior. Let us use our prayers. Let us stay in touch with one another. Let us call. Let us send cards. And then let us spend time envisioning a greater life for ourselves, our family, our friends, our community, our nation, and the world. Envision life in such a large way, so powerful, that spirit is by necessity is involved. God had a vision of the good you could accomplish the moment it thought you into being, and it has not given up on you yet. And we can't wait around for things to get better. To turn loose of our fears and to put our energy into our better angels. We have to move out now turn from our fears and to start thinking of the world we want to envision. I'm told that in the middle of the Civil War, they were still building Washington's monument in D.C., and some people thought that it didn't look right to be building a monument to a past president when the nation was tearing itself apart. And so they came to Lincoln and they suggested to him to stop the building of the monument. But he told them no. He said the nation needs to see that we're going forward, that we have a vision of the greater life that we can lead. And so the monument continued to be built. This past week, I may have shared with you that our center here used part of the funds from the Elizabeth Clare Foundation to help contribute to the Betty Griffin House. It's a place of rescue for families fleeing violence. And I was going over their information. I saw a very troubling statistic, and that is that the majority of kids that come from a violent home are likely to create families that also have violence. And I began to think, why couldn't we as a community not just continue supporting the parents that are fleeing violence, but why can't we create some sort of program that helps educate those young men and boys and girls to know that they can create families that are free from violence, that they can create families that are loving and kind and supportive. If we will do our work now, we won't have to try to solve the problem when it becomes a problem. Now's the time for us to envision something greater for ourselves. Dr. Holmes, our founder, he wrote, "We are one with the one mind." And that's the mind of God. And it is overflowing with potential and possibilities. So no matter how dark the present seems to be, we are still overflowing with potential and possibilities. If you're thinking that, and if you've got breath in you, you have Spirit's infinite possibilities. You see, Pharaoh, he never thought that the Jews would be able to flee his bondage. But God had other plans. And some of the Jews themselves, they didn't want to take the chance for freedom. They had gotten used to the bondage. They had gotten used to living a smaller life. Too many of us today have gotten used and gotten comfortable with lives of less than, of lack and limitation, of us not living up to our potential. This virus may be a wake-up call for us that now is the time. When God called the Israelites from Egypt, it didn't even let them wait on the leaven of the bread to raise the bread. They had to start moving because they had already waited too long. Spirit was telling them that they had to be on the move. Some of us have waited too long. But this virus is reminding us that we don't have a promise of tomorrow here on earth. We can't wait on the leaven of other people's opinions to stop moving on our dreams. We can't wait on the economy. And we can't wait till we're absolutely certain that our actions will turn out well. We have to start moving when Spirit inspires us. And now's the time to rise up. This is Easter Sunday, and of course, it marks when Jesus was resurrected. The Romans took Jesus and they beat him. They split open his side. They crowned him with thorns and then nailed him to a tree. They put him in a tomb and rolled a stone over that tomb. And they thought they were done with him. They thought that was the last of his ideas. But you see, the compassion of his soul would not be held in cold earth. The love of his heart could not be put away by a stone over a tomb. It had to break forward, and it did break forth in a greater knowing, and it did rise people up to know something better for themselves. Here today, you may have given up on your dreams. You may have allowed the world to put your hopes and your dreams into a tomb of despair. At times you may have given up on yourself, but God never has. And there's not a tomb that can hold you back or a stone of fear that can block your way. Rise up and proclaim a new day for yourself, for your hopes and dreams. Rise up and proclaim a new day for your family, your friends, your community, your nation, and world. It's the Spirit of God calling you on. It's within you to do. And when you know it for yourself, when you start moving on it, you'll walk on dry soil to the promised land. This is the truth in your life today. It's the truth in mine, and so it is.
To close out the service, we have some amazing music today from Bridget Wickens entitled Rise Up.
You're broken down and tired of living life on a merry-go-round, and you can't find the fighter. But I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out and move mountains. We gon' walk it out and move mountains. And I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day. I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. And I'll rise up high like the waves. I'll rise up in spite of the ache. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you. When the silence isn't quiet, and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe, and I know you feel like dying, but I promise we'll take the world to its feet and move mountains. We'll take it to its feet and move mountains. And I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day. I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you. All we need is hope, and for that we have each other, and for that we have each other. We will rise, we will rise, we will rise. Oh, we'll rise again. And I'll rise up, rise like the day. I'll rise up in spite of the ache. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. And we'll rise up, rise like the waves. We'll rise up in spite of the ache. We'll rise up, and we'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you.
Now join with me in a closing affirmative prayer and know this truth with me. There is but one God, one mind, one power. That power is perfect love. It's divine intelligence. And that power is flowing through me. Here today, I turn loose of every idea of lack or limitation. I let go of every smaller idea about myself. Here now, I rise up to the truth for myself. I rise up and see myself as God sees me, not as wounded, not as a victim, but here in life powerful, here in life as dynamic, here in life to bring comfort and aid, a better idea for myself, for my family, my friends. God has called me forth, and this day I am saying yes to all the great good God had in mind for me when it set me forth here in this earth. I know I'm powerful. I know that the power and glory of God is flowing through me. And so today I say yes to it all. This is my truth. I celebrate, I rejoice in this right idea, and I release it into the mind of God to do its good and perfect, bold and dynamic work, returning to me multiplied abundantly. And together we say, and so it is. My hope is you found something in today's presentation that will encourage and inspire you. If you did, be sure to like it, to write a comment, and share it with friends. Now know this truth with me. Your life is not a problem to be solved. It's a miracle unfolding. Your job is to go name your miracle, proclaim your miracle, and to make it your own. God bless us all. Now go be the miracle God has called you to be. Until we see one another again, many blessings, Reverend Ken.